from my perspective, when I took your mentorship, right, first of all, I learned about you on Instagram, honestly. That was the first things that I started to see, and was really impressed with everything that you were doing from a trainer perspective, but I was so nervous to take it because I was a PT and not a trainer. So there's kind of this aspect of, you know, you and I have talked many times about, oh, being a trainer in a room of PTs and feeling like, you know, kind of having this imposter syndrome and feeling like you don't know enough or you can't speak to the cause. And then for me, that was kind of my fear going into it. Like, I'm a PT in a room of trainers, and is this really going to be something that I can contribute, right? Because I was like, these people know so much more about, you know, exercise development and performance-based stuff. So for me, it was so good because, one, I did it. I talked to you and I was like, should I be doing this? And when I did it, honestly, I get emotional about it because the group of women that were in this, for me, it was so, the education and the love was, the transparency was so comforting. You know, I never speak up, ever. And all of a sudden I was in this group and I couldn't stop. Like, the chats were going crazy, right? Because all these people were like, what about this? Or have you thought about this? Or what if I do this? Or what does this mean? And I think that speaks a lot to your education and how you teach, because it gives people like me comfort, right? To be able to speak my mind, to be able to ask questions, because, you know, I have a breath and movement background. That's what I focus on. That's what I've been studying. And I learned so much more from this program than I ever, and I mean this in the best possible way, thought I would. Tons of stuff I had never even thought about or been able to conceptualize in a way, like information that can be really difficult, you know, because you can, just like you say, you can dive deep into this stuff and really, it can become quite overwhelming, but you don't have to do that to have success. You can take this model that you've developed so that you can be someone who doesn't have any kind of necessarily education or background in anatomy or physiology or kinesiology or personal training or physical therapy. They can be someone who works with people in movement, anyone, like a fitness instructor that maybe isn't necessarily has an education or background in anatomy and physiology, and learn this stuff and apply it to your clients and help them out so much. Then you can be someone like me that maybe learns all this like deep dive stuff from PT school, right? And then come in and take from you something that maybe I thought I understood and understand it so much better. Because the stuff that you went into, the anatomy, the physiology, the mechanics of movement, the speakers, the footwork, and then transferring it into fitness and movement is something that you don't get in PT school. You know, it's always all rehab based. And my clients that I have now are fitness enthusiast people. And they were like, okay, I can lay on my side and like pull my leg back and squeeze, but what do I do when I go in and I want to, you know, jump squat or split lunge, or how do I prepare to do those kind of movements without it hurting my knee or hurting my SI joint or hurting so I didn't have that foundation. And that was the biggest thing for me, is how do I take my rehab into the fitness, which I will continue to bother you about forever with questions.
Bother me forever, please keep bothering me.
Because, you know, these concepts, and it led me to this community of women that, even though, you know, Empowered Performance has been over for a couple of weeks, I was still talking to them, right? People are reaching out to me and saying, hey, my dad needs help. I'd really like him to see you. He lives in Seattle. Or questions about insurance. Or I reach out and say, oh my gosh, I love what I saw you do today on IG. Can you walk me through it? So it's been awesome. Between Empowered Performance and even the Female Fitness Alliance group, I felt like somebody who everybody has been through a massive amount of change, obviously in 2020, and I took this big leap to open my own business, and I was so scared of this world, this new world for me. And so it really has given me community there, and I'm super grateful for that. So it's not just the education, but I talk to women from our EP group almost daily.
Wow, that's crazy
So,
to think
yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah. So people that are all over the United States that I've really, I've never met in person. I've only met on Zoom and just through texting and direct messaging. But so for anyone who was hesitant, right? I even reached out to you about a client of mine who asked me about empowered performance, and she's a Bar 3 instructor, someone I've treated in my clinic on and off for a while. And I encouraged her to move forward with it because she is someone who, one, is a movement and exercise person herself, plus she teaches movement and exercise all the time. So I was like, you could apply this to all your clients in your bar class. And she doesn't have any kind of, education or background necessarily in, personal training or PT or anything specific like that. So I don't know, I loved it. I loved it, and I was super sad it was over, which is exactly why I joined the membership, so that I could still have, not only the access to the information, but just the access to the community and the people. So
I think it's
people will see the transparency and want to speak out and feel comfortable once they just have to do it to see what it really is like. So yeah.
Thank you for saying all that. I'm in tears.
Thank you, right?
I said that about my post today that I woke up and Ashley Berry had made that wonderful reel thing. She does those reels.
I know.
And I'm in tears at 5 o'clock in the morning. Jason comes out, he's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm really stressed out, but then this thing just made me cry." And then you made me cry, and then I almost cried on the call with Anna today.
Well,
but that's what I love. I never realized in a million years that when I started out with this, I was going to do a seminar, right? So you think of a seminar, you go to a seminar, you meet some nice people, you might keep in contact with a couple of them once in a while, but then it's done. I didn't realize the community. I think too, because for females in fitness, we're living in this world, and not just fitness, but movement, PT. It's you get put in these boxes of aesthetic, or I'm a hospitalist, PT.
Right.
I'm or I'm a mom, so I'm working with whatever, pediatrics, or I'm only doing pelvic floor because I'm a mom, or you know what I mean? And I feel like these women are changing the norms. These norms are not normal anymore. It's almost like we're the oddballs, but I
think it's important for people to understand how much work you put into it too. There is a massive amount of information. I mean, way more. This is not just an hour call where we talk about stuff, right, and discuss this group. There are speakers and handouts and shared information. This was another nuance for me, because your approach is take this stuff and use it, teach it to people, right? Versus this is my stuff and I'm going to teach it to you, but you can't go use it anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Which is there's a lot of that kind of ego play that happens. You know that, I know that when you're taking these courses and learning from other people, right? And the point of education and taking courses is to be able to then take it and apply it. And so having so much information and not having that ego and just feeling when I go and do this, you're the first person to say, look what she's doing. This is great, right? And it's stuff that I've learned from you. So it's really important for people to understand that it is way more than just, a 1 hour a week Zoom call, for sure. I mean, I have folders of EP information and stuff you've shared.